first attempt, the second attempt, fourth attempt. The thing is, best thing about UPSC is वो प्रॉब्लम एक या दो ही रहता है, जिसके वजह से वो अटेम्प्ट्स 4 अटेम्प्ट्स में बन जाते हैं. If every question comes from syllabus, why is it called as unpredictable? Energy, in the past 5 years, these few questions were asked directly from energy. And if you see, the first thing which you'll notice is it has come across all papers. Energy आप जब देखोगे, you will feel कि it is a part of geography or economics. But in the past 5 years, GS2 has explored energy a lot. GS3 has explored and GS1 as well.
I started my full-fledged preparation after I joined the Ultimate Assessment Program at Civilsdaily.
There is a 12-month strategy which I have done on Civilsdaily platform only.
I reached out to the Civilsdaily team.
Civilsdaily.
Current affairs में Civilsdaily.
Civilsdaily.
Civilsdaily. With Civilsdaily.
Civilsdaily.
Civilsdaily IS. Civilsdaily. To Civilsdaily.
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 A mentorship program of Civilsdaily, and that did help me a lot.
I'd like to start our webinar today by saluting the Indian Armed Forces. How many of you are giving the attempt, UPSC attempt, or starting any form of preparation for the first time? Abhishek, no sir, as in this is your first attempt? Okay. Okay, it's good. First attempt, the second attempt, fourth attempt. The thing is, best thing about UPSC is वो प्रॉब्लम एक या दो ही रहता है, जिसके वजह से वो अटेम्प्ट्स 4 अटेम्प्ट्स में बन जाते हैं. इफ यू डोंट फॉल इनटू दोस ब्लाइंड स्पॉट्स, वो एक अटेम्प्ट ही रहता है. दैट्स वेरी गुड आकाश, है स्टार्टिंग वर्टी. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू have heard this? You must have done some form of research with respect to UPSC कि UPSC exam is unpredictable. Yes, the Preeti. Okay, all the first, those who are joining me for the first time, I would really love to see you interact and speak your mind on the chat box, like whatever comes to your mind. The more we interact, the more a better view you are going to get of this. Heard before everyone says this, yeah. When I say unpredictable, what does it mean? कि एक तो सिलेबस के बाहर से क्वेश्चन आ गया. This is one thing which एग्जाम हम सब लोग देते हैं. We can think कि if the question is coming from out of the syllabus, then the particular exam is unpredictable. But this complaint you will never have with UPSC. Everything comes from within the syllabus and from a specific number of topics. Then why it is called as unpredictable? Okay, I'll speak in English, but I'll intersperse in between with Hindi beach mein if anybody wants. But anyways, so if every question comes from syllabus, why is it called as unpredictable then? Current affairs, yes, but current affairs still you will feel ki if you read say 600 700 pages width of syllabus after you study for 1 2 years, and even people who have studied for 3 4 years, they also call it unpredictable. Unka to, they do not have the problem of syllabus. They call it unpredictable because everyone knows the topic, but how the question is asked, that is unpredictable. Correct, Navya, because of bouncer questions. To put it very bluntly, bouncer questions. Energy topic is one of the most fundamental topics, the example which we are going to start with today. And actually, we are taking 3 topics today. By the end of it, even if you are a first timer, you would understand how you're going to study these 3 topics at least, and you can use it elsewhere as well. Question framing से ज्यादा It's more about you know the topic, you have read the syllabus, but what the UPSC asks in paper that changes considerably. Now, why it happens and how we are going to alter that, that is going to be a point of conversation today. As I said, I have taken energy as a topic. Now, energy in the past 5 years, these few questions were asked directly from energy. And if you see, the first thing which you'll notice is it has come across all papers. Energy आप जब देखोगे, you will feel कि it is a part of geography or economics. But in the past 5 years, GS2 has explored energy a lot. GS3 has explored and GS1 as well. So this is our first thing which makes it unpredictable is in which paper that particular question is coming. क्योंकि अगर वो if the particular question is coming as a part of geography, then you will probably try to write one or two maps there. You will probably chip in a few locations. But the same question, if it comes in paper 3, then probably you are going to write much more data than the locational aspects. That is the first unpredictability which UPSC brings in its paper. Let us start with this first particular question. Like examine the potential of wind energy in India. You need not know the topic. I'm not testing knowledge at all. UPSC is not an exam of knowledge. Examine the potential of wind energy in India and explain the reasons for their limited spatial spread. This was a part of GS paper 1. So here you will probably divide it into regions and then write ki why it is focused on a particular number of areas due to investment or infrastructure. But imagine this question coming next year in GS paper 3. And then suddenly your focus is more on the revenue, the growth rate of states, what is the developmental policy the state is trying to take. This is how your approach or thought process is going to be. First, this is what is the first criteria of unpredictability. Second, consider this question. जैसे Maldives के बारे में पूछा है. Discuss the geopolitical and geostrategic importance of Maldives. Now, it asks how does it affect India's maritime security and energy flows. So now you are basically asking me to read about Maldives, its relations with India, and then further explore the energy dimensions in bit more detail. और ये 15 या कुछ ऐसे मार्क का क्वेश्चन था. It was a long question. So this is where the unpredictability really creeps in. और यहाँ पे aspirants का problem क्या होता है? They know this part, and every one of you, by the time you complete your syllabus, this part won't be difficult. The difficulty will arise when UPSC explores other dimensions. Our goal during our entire journey should be to handle these questions with ease. It's not about कि वहां पे जाके आंसर लिखेंगे नहीं. When we are entering the examination hall, we should be at ease that we can handle any question. So with that, we'll start exploring it more. जैसे I have in the past 10 years, 18 questions have emerged from the energy topic. And these 18 questions can be broadly divided into these 5 segments. First is uneven resource distribution. There was a question on mineral oil, why mineral oil is found in particular zones. These types of question entirely or primarily comes in geography. Then you have two types of energy where UPSC has been exploring a lot, in fact. Solar energy, wind energy, hydro, and nuclear energy. Then the other two facets which emerges either in GS2 or GS3. First is energy security, and then is energy access and sustainability. Energy security as in how capable is India to fulfill the needs of energy across the length and breadth of the country. And energy sustainability means how long can we survive with the energy availability which we have? And if we have some issues with respect to climate change, how are we going to tackle that? Simply speaking, these are the five aspects where UPSC focuses in energy aspects. Up, you pick up any mains paper, not just from past years. आप अगले 3 साल के भी पेपर उठा के देख लेना, जो भी क्वेश्चन आगे आएंगे, it will not go beyond this. Now, within this, what does UPSC does? There's one type of question where it directly asks you concepts and facts. I'm telling you, each and every one of you will not have a problem, neither will need me or burning issues or anything to answer these kind of questions. These kind of questions are something like this. What is the renewable energy target of India? And what all schemes has India taken to achieve it? This is not our pain point. Problem start होता है यहाँ से and then it shoots up when the unpredictable questions come. Unpredictable question जैसे Maldives वाला दिखाया, that is very analytical, but along with it, if you see, it's very specific because it's asking with respect to Maldives. And trust me, when you're remembering so much, it will become very difficult कि energy वाला क्या था Maldives के साथ. एक दो point maximum से याद आएंगे. उसके बाद से most of the students try throwing up points or making up points there. And that shows in a mark where somebody gets a 95 and some topper gets a 105. How specific you can go. अभी ये एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में तो नहीं होने वाला, वो स्टार्ट ऑफ द प्रिपरेशन या स्टार्ट ऑफ द ईयर या सेशन से ही we have to reach this कि by the end when we give mains we are somewhere here. Now sources, I'm telling you कि energy के respect में, if you will read in the next thoroughly, you will not go beyond these 5-6 sources. So what is the first source? The fundamentals, NCRTs. There are 2 or 3 NCRTs, and this is going to be a first go-to book. Second, some excited students who have a lot of time and have a deadly habit of researching each and every topic to its utmost depth. They will go into down to earth and probably will give 15-20 days to energy topic and waste a lot of time. Then there will be some who will focus on Yojana and reading it again and again as if that particular Yojana is the only book which was ever produced on energy sector in India. And then you have your all 365s and all the current affairs magazine who will be throwing up these facts. You attend this session or not attend this session, I'm telling you, at least once in your preparation time also, you will be going through all these sources. Our goal should be ki how to align whatever you read. That is the basic idea. So we talked about these 3 dimensions. One is concepts and facts, then analytical, and then the unpredictable. So we have to reach here so that वो Maldives वाला question हुआ, subsidies वाले question हुए, कोई भी segment से, we can handle that. And to handle unpredictability, there are 2 things. If anybody, any one of you has attended my previous webinar, will be knowing this very well. When you started schooling as well, या फिर you must have given science, arts, commerce, जो भी stream में हो, first तो बोलते हैं कि fundamentals, you should know the fundamentals. And after that, UPSC focuses a lot on breadth. Breadth मतलब anybody can tell. If I say breadth of a topic, what does that means? Meenakshi, Akash, you correct, Kanishka. Breadth of the topic means dimensions. मल्टीपल डायमेंशंस कि जैसे एनर्जी के बारे में अगर बात हो रही है तो उसका डिप्लोमेटिक एंगल क्या है, उसका टेक्नोलॉजिकल पार्ट क्या है. हाइड्रोजन एनर्जी is in news. Now, why hydrogen energy is in news? What are the details of it? At the surface, it feels कि अगर इतने If we go so much into each and every news item which comes, energy itself will have a 200-page notes. And depth as in till what you are going to read. How we are trying not to be that person who wastes a time during research. It's really a fallacy. You're reading constantly, and that is actually hampering your preparation. Nothing could be bad than that. So, best part is you have to give optimum time. And for that optimum time, those who are repeat webinar, I think they will find it even more interesting now because they have a brief idea of basically what this is. Now, if I have, say, energy as a topic, we have to study it across breadth and depth. So, somewhat it will look like this. Breadth में अभी अगर मैं बोलूं, and we have known, I have segmented 5 topics for you here. So this will come under depth or breadth. This will come under its breadth. Correct. These are various aspects. Geography aspects में uneven resource distribution हो गया. Then you have energy security. Then you have fossil versus non-fossil based, and etc. Am I clear on this? Everybody, all the first attempters, what do I mean when I say breadth? Now, this is, consider this as your 90-mark line, and this is your 105-mark line, or more than 105-mark line. Now, if I have to go into the breadth of it, depth of it, see here I have again made that distribution, renewable, and environment. ये current affairs से पढ़ोगे. If I have to go into the depth of it, then probably I'll read. Give me some depth wala points. I'll probably read schemes. Resource distribution already आ गया breadth में. That we are considering it as a part of geography. तो ये geography वाला हुआ, ये आपका environment वाला हुआ. Renewable versus non-renewable is somewhere around economics and geography. This is the breadth. Now भी depth में अभी क्या पे schemes आ जाएगा. Is there any scheme which India is taking to alleviate this gap between renewable and non-renewable energy? Is there any scheme where India is focusing on energy efficiency to enhance the environmental condition? This is where our first layer of depth will come. Then if I go to P, you will see P may again policies, if I say related to security comes in, where India has signed some of the major documents or major agreements with other countries like Australia. We have a uranium agreement, या फिर Kazakhstan, like a uranium agreement. That will come under policy with respect to security. Then you have the economic data with respect to all this. तो distribution के केस में which is the major part where the distribution is held? Correct. Blue hydrogen initiative, I'll put it under environment wala bucket. Now suppose due to the energy distribution, if you see Punjab and Haryana are some of the regions where too much of use of energy for irrigation has affected the agricultural environment there. Now this is one point where you can include it anywhere. These are the facts which you get from your books and your traditional sources. And then finally you come into diplomacy. यहाँ पे आपका ISA, International Solar Alliance, then you have OSO, WOG, One Sun, One World, One Grid, and these are the questions which UPSC has asked. No, this is your level of preparation with respect to energy by the time you are preparing for prelims. And this level of preparation, it cannot be manufactured. You should be trained such that ये आपको एक particular topic, if you see a topic, this comes to you subconsciously, not consciously. Because once this comes to you subconsciously, 50% of your game is done. That is the goal of this entire exercise. And that is what we are going to do with two other topics, where basically you are going to tell me ki what are the breadth and depth wala aspects. And there are more than 30 participants. I expect at least 30 answers. Look, this is the question. So this is your first hint. ये बिमस्टेक के रेस्पेक्ट में क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है. Now remember, once you go from this session, you are aware कि energy and BIMSTEC, both very highly gaining topics for UPSC. You should be aware कि how much you need to study. And that much you need to study within 2.5 hours, and that's done. So this is a question on BIMSTEC now. Now, if you see, what did UPSC ask? Do you think that BIMSTEC is a parallel organization like the SARC? What are the similarities and dissimilarities between the two? And how are Indian foreign policy objectives realized by forming this new organization? So यहाँ पे what student usually we read is BIMSTEC, its members, and what is the new summit that happened, and what are the various initiatives that matter here, and how much of this can you actually use in this answer. Literally for the introduction only. Other than that, this is entirely pointless, your preparation with respect to BIMSTEC. Because the question is quite deep. So that is why now you are going to start telling me what are the what is the breadth of this topic which we are going to read. जैसे मैंने कुछ तो बोल दिया. एक है membership, दूसरा है recent submit. Then any other, which is the first thing, मतलब everybody will read to have the brief idea. Tanishq, Minakshi, Rabia, Pooja, please chip in with your answers. Just write it. Not asking you to stand up and tell. Alignment with other policies. Original idea. Okay. Now this is one. Why it was formed. Okay. Members and objective. I'll write it here. Correct. India's initiative, recent summit initiatives that can be tackled here. Foreign policy related to BIMSTEC. Okay, so and recent summit initiatives and policies related to BIMSTEC. The role in geostrategy. Okay. Comparison with other organizations. Okay. Now, what Preeti is actually saying, that is somewhere tilting towards the depth part of it. Now, that is a good India significance, the significance of BIMSTEC with respect to India. So these are the basic things, and I'm giving you a challenge here. You pick up any current affairs magazine, except burning issues, and you will see you will have answers to all these questions. You will definitely have answers to all these questions. And you'll read this question because that is mapping well with what you have thought about that particular topic. Now, if we go to depth, see breadth, we got a number of answers. The point of me reiterating this point again and again is everyone is aware of the breadth part. And this is the biggest example of that. Now, let us think a bit about depth. Depth में मतलब आप इसको और कैसे adjacent या critically analyze करके how can you think this topic? Because if you see the question again, do you think BIMSTEC is a parallel organization like the SARC? What are the similarities and dissimilarities between the two? This is one question which our this particular breadth part is addressing. None of the it is not being answered by any other. Matlab, any other point is not answering any question. Now, how are Indian foreign policy objectives? So basically, you need to know here about neighborhood policy here and other foreign policy which intersects with BIMSTEC. Act East policy, correct, and BIMSTEC. Okay. Any other? Think of it. What you can think? It's an organization. What else can I put in this bracket? Just type any answer. What you think can go into the depth of it. First, if you realize when you read this much, the first thing that will come to your mind when we had ASEAN and SARC, despite having these, why did we go for BIMSTEC? आप BIMSTEC के formation से सोचो कि we already had ASEAN which was catering to Southeast Asia and India is a very strong partner of ASEAN and we had SARC and this was formed somewhere around. Correct, deadlock is one of the reasons, but there are other reasons to that as well, which we will explore now. But again, this is your first point of depth where you are going into it, and this is that particular point which will help you address this question. Do you think BIMSTEC is a parallel organization like SARC? Yes, it has some similarities and dissimilarities, but it's not a parallel organization. Why? We'll explore that. No, see, here that is what I'm telling. When you say why it was formed, I'm telling you the answer here. First, economic integration with Southeast Asia is going to be your point. Then, trade, transport. This is what you are going to answer here when they're asking why. When they're asking why BIMSTEC, despite this, you are writing the failures of ASEAN and SARC there, and then you're coming via BIMSTEC. So each and every point which you write with respect to BIMSTEC, you have to write how is it a notch above ASEAN and SARC. यहाँ पे तो आप खाली लिख रहे हो. Understood, Prasad? Okay. Now, what is another question which I can gauge from here? See, syllabus and previous year questions are your best friends. There's one very probable question here is, what is the role of external powers in influencing no why how BIMSTEC is better or why BIMSTEC was formed despite ASEAN and SARC. So you वो regional organizations के बारे में ही है. तो कहाँ ASEAN और SARC खराब मतलब खराब तो गलत वर्ड है कि where ASEAN and SARC could not score well and that is why we launched BIMSTEC. Then second, you have role of external power in influencing the BIMSTEC policies. If you see your GS2 syllabus, you will have role of developed and developing countries on the policies of India. And if you see USA and China have given time and again their viewpoint with respect to BIMSTEC. This is your second level of depth which you are going. Now post this, your any question UPSC throws up will be limited by this particular stuff. This is what we are going to now explore. Now, once we have done this, then comes studying part. Ki how are you going to study this part? So first, why BIMSTEC? If I say, or simply despite ASEAN and SAARC or whatever, we'll try to answer one particular question. But the major intention behind this is how you are going to make your notes. Okay. Now the plane is simple. Many of you have already given some answers. Why BIMSTEC? So now Prasad or who were talking about, please throw in some of the points. There are few points which are written already. Fixed contribution by members. Okay. So I can say better administration than the existing organization. Right, Kanishka? The first point यहाँ पे, if I had to write, see, the thing is, it had to fill the gaps. BIMSTEC was set up in 1997. I would expect every one of you to write this down, particularly the next three slides, because you are going to get an idea of how you are going to make notes in the next 1 year. So it was essentially established to fill the gaps led by the existing groups. Now, first was geography. Now, if you explain this, BIMSTEC as an organization, if you see, connects South Asia and Southeast Asia. And for this, to enhance this connectivity, we took over a number of travel projects or highways and ports like the Kaladan multimodal port एक है यहाँ I have given the example of IMT highway India Myanmar Thailand trilateral highway. Correct. Economic growth through cooperation, again these are proper points, but look at the screen. My major focus is on substantiation. When you are telling economic growth, you write economic growth here and then explain it, and explain it specifically. Do not explain it कि इससे economic growth हो जाएगा. क्यों हो जाएगा? You have to be specific, and then you have to give example here. This is what a proper point looks like. Now, if I tell overcoming SARC is the second point, can somebody explain what is overcoming SARC? Overcoming SARC. If I had to write an explanation here, SARC's meeting was stuck in all the meetings of SARC and they could not go through because of the deadlock that happened between India Pakistan. And if you see to substantiate this, BIMSTEC excluded Pakistan so that similar thing does not happen here. So you're understanding, you need ये जो 3 point है 1, 2, 3, these are so intricately linked. The reasons, the explanation and the substantiation. क्योंकि यूजुअली पॉइंट जो रहता है ओवरकमिंग सार्क डेडलॉक, कनिष्क ने सही पॉइंट बोला है ओवरकमिंग सार्क डेडलॉक, बट यहाँ पे खत्म हो जाता है. बट यू नीड टू एक्सप्लेन दैट एंड देन यू नीड टू शो इन एग्जांपल कि हाउ कि बिम्स्टेक डज नॉट हैव पाकिस्तान एज इट्स मेंबर. बैड परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ सार्क, करेक्ट, वो सब पॉइंट आ जाएंगे. बट जब क्वेश्चन वाई बिम्स्टेक है, ये तो ब्रेड्थ वाला ही क्वेश्चन है, ये तो डेप्थ में गए ही नहीं, तब भी just take a look at it कि मेरे पॉइंट्स कैसे बन रहे हैं. Then you had that's broad focus. It had a broader economic focus because along with economic, it also focuses on technical cooperation. The biggest example of that is Energy Center that is located in Bangalore, BIMSTEC Energy Center. Then BIMSTEC is crucial for India's Indo-Pacific policy. because it is located at the center of Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. Example, Act East policy also recognizes the critical importance of BIMSTEC. 5 South, वो geography में आ जाएगा प्रियांश. You can easily write it down. That is what I said in geography, no? It connects the South Asian, Southeast Asian countries. So now if I remove this, Indo-Pacific, crucial. Then next you have another point here which was important actually. ASEAN during its formation focused overtly on the Southeast Asian region. And during that time, despite there were a lot of South Asian partners, that was not taken into account. So, yes, correct. Prasad, that is exactly where I was coming to. ASEAN, Southeast Asia focus. That is where BIMSTEC involves countries from both the regions. So now if you see, this is my notes which is going to stay with me for 1 year. And how it becomes easy to remember, I think it is pretty evident on the screen. It does not include more than 50 words. You have everything at one place. Am I correct? Everybody, did you get where I was getting to? Okay. And similarly, when you start making, this is another question which we probably missed in the depth. Why is ASEAN still struggling despite why is BIMSTEC still struggling after 25 years? There are 3 points which I've written. First, it lacks a permanent secretariat. It does not have regular summits. Like then you provided data, it has had 5 summits in the past 26 years. Then there are varying interests. Varying interests as in Thailand interest and Sri Lanka's interest are considerably different. China factor, obviously it is there. There are many other factors. My main point is कि ये जो 5 rows और 3 columns के table है, this should suffice your preparation with respect to BIMSTEC. If you are wasting more time in preparing this, और ये मतलब it's not optimum for your preparation level. Okay. So now topic 3, again very important, nutrition. Nutrition everybody knows, question आता ही रहता है इससे. So if I had to tell you what is again nutrition में क्या आप पढ़ोगे, please chip in with your answer. जैसे one thing I know is policies. Any other thing which you'll study? Then you have assessment of policies. Why? It has performed well. Connection with poverty, correct. This is poverty nutrition cycle, vicious cycle. This is what again a question. Correct. Data of health, matlab its relation to health. Correct. Very critical and UPSC में जो majorly जरूरत होगा nutrition के aspect में, first, how has India's nutrition policy evolved since the time of independence? This probably you'll not get in any particular book at one point. First is evolution of nutrition policies and how nutrition policies has been used as a political tool. Political tool as in election से पहले जब budget declare होता है, पहले भी होता था, there were 2 things which were constantly in use. One is new railway tracks or new railway lines where they're laying, in which state got how many railway tracks. And the second part is what is the amount of food subsidy one state is getting. So essentially, food and nutrition policies have long been used as very specific political tools. Freebies, yes, correct. But here again, I'm being very specific with respect to it. क्योंकि आंसर्स आपको स्पेसिफिक लिखना है. दिस इज नॉट दैट टाइम कि आप कुछ भी जान के आप फेंकते चलो आंसर. एंड दिस इज व्हाट we had actually explored this article which I had written. Can India overcome its nutrition challenge? Why some states flourished and some are still. That is the regional divide where you can bring in here. Like एक है evolution where I'm going based on time, then again I'm going one on the base of regional division. अभी जैसे ये वाला है. Now this is a article which I wrote about India's nutrition challenge. Now, if you see the questions which were asked, I think you have already said this. Poverty and malnutrition are a vicious cycle. Then India needs to strengthen measures to promote pink revolution in the food industry for better nutrition. So basically, यहाँ पे एक scheme और food nutrition को it has merged in one particular question. And there are other questions where actually UPSC has explored it in governance segment. And so while studying, अभी जैसे मैं purely इसको बोल रहा हूँ कि यहाँ से notes पे कैसे जाना है. So breadth of the topic, if we see this year for next year's exam, the first thing which you will study is higher allocations. It made a lot of news, especially with respect to Poshan 2.0 and Saksham Anganwadi. Then there was Mission Vatsalya. So each and every nutrition related schemes has got a higher allocation. अभी यहाँ से जब आप prelims के लिए पढ़ोगे, these schemes becomes important and their details becomes important, and then they have got a higher allocation. So these are the surface level things which you need to learn and memorize. इसका objectives क्या हैं, key features क्या हैं. Where the real struggle might have started with respect to this, कि how food and nutrition has been used as a political tool. अभी यहाँ पे भी अगर आप देखोगे जो points के division है, first is pre-election welfare announcements, because political parties have time and again announced free ration schemes just before the elections to woo voters, vote bank politics. और यहाँ पे एग्जाम्पल है प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण योजना ahead of 2020 यूपी इलेक्शंस. तो अभी आपके दिमाग में बैठ रहा है वो कि यहीं पे डायमेंशंस ऑफ पॉलिटिकल टूल के जो हम वहां पे टेबल बना रहे थे वो मिल गया आपको. यहाँ पे आपका पॉइंट है प्री इलेक्शन वेलफेयर अनाउंसमेंट. दिस इज वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स इज योर एक्सप्लेनेशन एंड दिस इज योर एग्जाम्पल. Am I clear on this? कि how you're going to use whenever you the 20 article है month के, and this is what you're going to get, and this is how you're going to take it to your notes. Second is targeted freebie to key voter bases. So food distribution is often designed to appeal to specific groups. So this is demographic targeting. Or example, Tamil Nadu Amma canteens. Bus. So there are 4 or 5 words where I'm underlining, and in fact that must, if you see here, so the magazine comes with this as well. See the what you're going to note it down, it must be given in blue. So this is one aspect. Then you're assessing that food and nutrition as a political tool, and then you move to best practices which will help you in giving the example. So these are the various broader views of the topic which has been explored. अभी ये मैं कहाँ पे वापस where we are coming is, if you see here again, it is beyond. We have to be more specific. Correct. More specific with respect to everything while writing answers. It might be 1 word or 2 word, but if you are telling कि food security policies are beyond just political factors, and it also includes cultural and social factors affecting nutrition, give me those points, give me those data of NFHS 5, or wahi the data which you're giving, it should support your argument. These should not be random data. Once I would suggest कि you make it from अभी तक जितने burning issues आए हैं, pick it up and make it that. Weekly SM, if you're coming to the weekly SM class, then directly ask me how to make notes. I'll tell SM or burning issues. This is an external webinar, so I can tell because they have this available to them freely. SM वाले जब आओगे ना तो तुम्हारा तो और भी इजी हो जाएगा ना, क्योंकि क्लास में वही पढ़ के ये फिर तुम सेकेंड मंथ में वापस मिल रहे हो. Then finally you go to the question paper, and if you see a question which seems unpredictable to others, if you see this question, food and nutrition policies in India have often served both welfare and political purposes. So now you have how they have been used as a political tool, its positives, its negatives, and its points along with examples. Then you have specific things with respect to a particular question. This is where I'm going to close it, because I think there has been a lot of content which has been given in this particular webinar. In the coming webinars, it will be more content heavy, क्योंकि strategy more or less इसी के इर्द-गिर्द चलेंगे. But yeah, and I'll hope we can discuss or take some of the aspects of the class and give in this free external webinars, because if you're giving 40-45 minutes, you should take back some amount of content. Like today, whenever next time you read your nutrition policies, you just know the areas which you have to cover, other than just the government initiatives or budget allocations. But so that is where I'll be closing.